Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. I do have one quick favor before we get to the video that you came here for, and that is very simply this. You see that little red subscribe button below this video? Go ahead, smash that subscribe button. It really does help me. It really does help this channel grow and my audience grow. So go ahead and hit that red subscribe button. And now, here is the video that you came here for. All right, a little bit of a quiet time on the college football calendar. Obviously, the season ended a few months ago, Recruiting for the 2021 class ended in February. Spring football hasn't really gotten going in a lot of places yet. But even despite being a quiet time on the calendar, there was still big news on Friday. And that is because Ty Simpson, one of the top-ranked high school quarterbacks in the class of 2022, so players who are set to be seniors in high school next year, Ty Simpson made his college commitment on Friday, and he chose, drumroll please, Alabama. He chose Alabama. That's right, Nick Saban, coming off one of the greatest seasons in the history of college football and a 2021 recruiting class in which many believe is the greatest in the history of the sport. Nick Saban does it again, bringing in one of the top-rated quarterbacks to start off his 2022 class in style. Ty Simpson, a five-star prospect, chose Alabama over Clemson, over Tennessee, and over Tennessee Martin. For those of you wondering why Tennessee Martin, his father is the head coach there, some ways I actually feel bad for Tennessee because it was believed that he was headed to Tennessee until Jeremy Pruitt got fired, but Jerry Pruitt fired, Tennessee out, Alabama in, and Nick Saban does it again. And so in terms of just the commitment overall, I want to get to the big picture stuff in a minute, but just in terms of the commitment, this kid's a stud, man. I mean, there's nothing else to say. He's polished. He's sharp. He's not huge. He's about 6'2", but mobile enough, accurate, obviously well coached because his father is a college head coach. And this is just everything that you want in terms of a future quarterback. Again, smart, mobile, athletic, can do just about anything that you need from the quarterback position. But when I do look at this commitment, I do think it is really important for the present and future of Alabama football for four reasons. And I know what everyone's thinking, oh, it's Alabama. How important can one commitment be? Well, I do believe this one specifically is important for four different reasons. The first one is it starts the 2022 class in style, right? Like think back to last year. If you remember, Alabama started a little bit slow in the 2021 class, and everybody this time of year last year was freaking out. What's going on at Alabama? Why are they started off slow? Yeah, as it turned out, they picked up steam in April, May, June, put together the number one class in the country. But when you look at 2022, this allows them to have the cornerstone built for this class. I've talked about it before. I'm not the first person to say it, but when you look at recruiting, the quarterback is the most important guy to get committed, not only because quarterback is the most important position on the field, but because that guy now becomes the key and, as I just said, the cornerstone to your recruiting class. And when you get that kid in place, you can now go to other players and say, look, man, you want to ball out, you want to put up points, you want to get catches, you want to block, you want to be on the highest stage possible, playing with the best players possible. Well, look who we got under center calling plays for us in that huddle. We got Ty Simpson. You want to be a part of this. But beyond that, I would also mention that the quarterback now can become your own best recruiter because, as we all know, there are times in the college football calendar where coaches can't talk to recruits. Coaches can't talk to players on the phone. They can't even text them. They can't communicate with them. Well, that's where Ty Simpson comes in. He now becomes your most important recruiter, as he is a guy that there is no limitation to how much he can text, call, DM, whatever, future teammates. So to me, that's huge because he is now the most important recruiter that Alabama has. Number two, I think it's really important because it really sets Alabama up at the quarterback position for the next half decade, right? And by the way, it's going to be terrifying if you're not an Alabama fan, but think about it. We got Bryce Young already on campus. He is projected to be the next guy at quarterback, but by the time that Ty Simpson gets to campus, Bryce Young is already going to be a true junior. And with the way Alabama has been producing on offense and with how talented Bryce Young is, there's a possibility that by the time Ty Simpson gets there, it might be Bryce Young's last year. Now, it might not be. And oh, by the way, it's not as though Alabama didn't sign a stud in the 2021 class in Jalen Milroe, who will be a freshman next season. But We know how college football works. If Bryce Young has a great year as a true junior in what would be the 2022 fall of 2022, he might not be back for the following season. So you get Ty Simpson in, you let him redshirt, you let him play a few snaps and blowouts because we know Alabama's going to be blowing some people out. And then if Bryce Young balls out and goes pro, you got the next guy in line. And I do think in this era, in this world, in the way that Alabama plays, it's very possible that you could lose Bryce Young after 3 years. I think back to this year with Mac Jones. I mean, I don't think anybody thought when Mac Jones signed with Alabama, well, he's going to be out in 4 years and he's going to be a potential first-round pick. You think he's in for 5 years, he can make some spot starts, and all of a sudden, with some good coaching, the kid's more talented than people gave him credit for, and he's out after 1 year as a full-time starter. And so this is football. You always got to have a backup plan, and especially at Alabama, where one good season, one good 4, 5, 6 game stretch gets you on the NFL's radar and potentially gets you out the door and in the first round. It happened with Mac Jones. It could happen with Bryce Young. And so now because of it, you have that quarterback of the future in the program. Third reason that I think this is huge, Bill O'Brien. It's important because of what Ty Simpson said when he committed, and he said it was really mattered that Bill O'Brien is the new head coach at Alabama, or the new head coach, the new offensive coordinator. Excuse me. Yes, Nick Saban is still the head coach at Alabama. But when I want to go back a few weeks, because when Bill O'Brien signed on to be Alabama's offensive coordinator, I said this is huge. I said this is a really big deal. It really matters because now when you go into a high school kid's home, what do the elite players all want to hear? They all want to hear why your school is the place that will best prepare them for the NFL. Well, what place is going to better prepare you than a place that has a former NFL head coach as now the offensive coordinator and play caller? And oh, by the way, the quarterback's coach. What school? You can't name one. That matters. That's relevant. Because think about it. All these kids want to be the next Tom Brady. Well, guess who worked with Tom Brady? Bill O'Brien. Deshaun Watson. We all love Deshaun Watson, except maybe Texans fans right now. They're a little frustrated, but they want him back. He's a stud. And so it was really funny because when Bill O'Brien signed on to be Alabama's offensive coordinator, I said, this is huge for Alabama. And I had all the Twitter trolls, why? He was a terrible NFL head coach. No, he wasn't. He was a terrible NFL GM. He shouldn't have traded DeAndre Hopkins. But in terms of coaching, they had a very good offense, and he made the playoffs in 4 of the final 5 full seasons that he coached. So don't tell me he's a bad coach. He's just a bad GM. Well, guess what? He's not in charge of player personnel here, and now Alabama can go into the homes of recruits and say, this guy knows what it takes to play under center in the NFL. This is a guy that has coached Deshaun Watson, coached Tom Brady, coached the guys that you now watch on TV, and Ty Simpson was the first recruit yet to talk about the importance of Bill O'Brien, and I only think it's going to get bigger and better over the coming year, 2, 3, however long Bill O'Brien is there for Alabama. I just think it's huge. I think it's a game changer. The final 4th reason is what I told you on signing day in 2021, a few weeks ago. This is now the actualization of the evolution of Nick Saban's Alabama football program. Now, it sounds like a lot of big words, and I'm not a big words guy. I'm not smart enough to use big words. But what I mean by that is this, is that you go back a few years, Tua, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Jerry Jeudy, Najee Harris, when all these guys committed, the evolution of Alabama's offense was still a concept on paper, right? At the time, Lane Kiffin is there. He's starting to change things up. He needs that next wave of guys to take that program and that offense to the next level. He had done a ton with Blake Sims, done a ton with Jacob Coker, but you need those next level difference makers. And so what I said on the 2021 signing day was how important that class was because it was the actualization of the offense coming full circle. It wasn't just a concept on paper, but now we had seen it in real life. Steve Sarkisian, Mac Jones, Devontae Smith, Najee Harris putting together one of the most prolific offenses in the history of college football. And I thought it really paid dividends in the 2021 recruiting class because now those kids could not only see a concept on paper, but they saw it on film. They saw Devontae Smith win the Heisman Trophy. They saw Mac Jones be a Heisman finalist. They saw Najee Harris as one of the elite running backs in college football. And so it mattered in 2021 where they signed the top 2 offensive tackles in the country. It mattered in 2021 where they signed 3 of the top 6 wide receivers in high school football. And now it matters in 2022 because they have their quarterback of the future with Ty Simpson, who can now see and actualize and realize what this Alabama offense can do for him. So I am telling you, this is huge. I don't want to call it program changing because Alabama's program changed 12 years ago, 13 years ago when Nick Saban came in. But you talk about a guy that can have long-term success in this program down the road. This matters. This is a big deal. So shout out to Alabama, another elite recruit to lead their 2022 recruiting class. And that's it for this video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure to subscribe to this page, turn on your alerts, and of course you can find me on social media at Aaron_Torres on Twitter and at Aaron Torres Pod on Instagram. But make sure you're subscribed here. Thanks, guys.